All right, all right, all right. Guys, it's happening. It is finally happening. Welcome to episode 100. I hope my mic is working. Yes, it is. Okay. Um, I almost can't believe 100 episodes. Right? It has been a long time coming, and we did get there. Um, I kind of want to take the chance to like give a thank you to all the guys and girls that supported the podcast and the stream in general, of course, um, over the years. Special shout out to Veer, Miranda, and Fobber. You know, be it moderation, be it the co-hosting,
You subscribe to Pando?
or the
That's
arts
so
stuff, right? The
hot.
background stuff and so on. Um, I always appreciated it, and yeah, thanks for that.
You subscribe to Pando?
Oh no, mute your
That's
stuff. I already
so
did. I already
hot.
did. See, over 100 episodes, I finally started learning some things. I figured some stuff out. Like, yes, you gotta mute this first. Take your time.
You
Don't
subscribe to
rush it.
Pando? That's
Otherwise,
so
it
hot.
gets crazy. Um, so the idea of this podcast was always to,
You
give people a little
subscribe
bit
to
of an insight
Pando?
that you usually wouldn't
That's
get in like
so
fleets and
hot.
stuff, being like the FC personalities. Um, oh,
Oh, it's not muted. It keeps going. Sorry.
You
Just want to let you
subscribe to
know.
Pando?
okay, I'll
That
just mute it here. Maybe I didn't learn every bit of lesson. Okay. Um, now it should be muted. It should be all good. Um, so the idea was always to give you guys an insight in like FC personalities and an insight that you wouldn't get like just in Fleet and so on, right? Um, and I think we kind of succeeded with that, right? Like 100 episodes, over 100 guests. I don't know how many exactly we had, different guests. Some people, like the two today, have been on before, um, and are returning. So I think we're around 120, 130 different guests, and so I think we kind of succeeded with that. So talking about different approaches or different FCs, I think there's no better FC team to kind of highlight that than the two guys. I would include Bonga here. Um, Bonga has always been another FC in it that has also a very different play style. Like that kind of we kind of what do you say supported each other in different ways, which was always good. So to give you guys a little bit of an introduction, my first guest, um, I would say I always introduce as like a relentless FC. He has that reputation nowadays, a relentless FC. Almost the polar opposite of what I like to do. I like to do like the smaller, more like crafty things. He enjoys very much the big fights and the big picture kind of battles. Um, and nowadays he's the leader of the initiative, and we're gonna come to that part. So yeah, welcome back, Shiny Boy.
Thanks very much. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Um, then the second guest, who used to be the leader and still kinda is, like we still kinda rely on your input every now and then, I would say. Used to be the leader and or I should say, he set the foundation for initiative very much. One of the founders of Init. Some people forgot. There was actually 3 corps that founded Init, being Vanishing Point, Mad Hatters, and Doane, Dawn of a New Empire. And Bliss being the CEO of Vanishing Point. He over the years became basically the solo like leader and I guess the spiritual leader of Init, who kind of set the foundation um, for like what Init is today. And I think it's fair to say that also shines a style of like being relentless, being a little bit, you know, always out there, always active. It kind of it's heavily influenced by Bliss, right? So yeah, thanks for coming on, Bliss.
Thank you very much. Pleased to be here. And congratulations on 100 episodes, Panda. Awesome.
Oh, thanks. So talking about the different playstyles, or not different playstyles, I think we all have the same playstyle to a degree, but the different FC styles, and we talked about that, I think last time when you were on years ago. So what do you think, where did that come from mainly? Because I wondered, was it more necessity? Because when I thought about that, was it just like, oh yeah, that's just what I like doing, or did we all just fall into these roles because like, oh yeah, there was an opening here, we needed this at the time, so I filled that role, and so on? What do you think? Or was it like, it was just supposed to be like that, I guess?
I think. Shall I jump in?
Do it.
I think for me, it was part stuff I liked doing, and then it was part stuff I had time doing, and then it was part stuff necessity. So there's definitely stuff I never really did, and probably also really sucked at, and like I never really got time to do the small scale thing, and a lot of the experimental fleets that I saw you doing, and kind of sometimes very quite invasive at thinking, oh, I should really try and do some of that stuff, but I think you kind of naturally gravitate and you feel a gap, that you either feel you kind of, you invest time in, you hopefully become good at it, hopefully get some good results. So I think for me, it was a combination of those things. I always found I could never do everything. You had to sort of pick some things because it's very time consuming, right? It takes so much time to invest in that you can't really spread yourself across everything. I ended up kind of, I guess, filling my own niche and filling what I hopefully became decent at, and and then kind of you rely on other people to fill the gaps around you.
I do remember when Shine started FCing, that one breakthrough a fleet.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I used to love talking about that. That was also, was it from necessity though? Like we already, like we had you do fleets constantly, Bliss, but then people still like found ways like to do like a different content, right? Like for example, you have never done the hunting part, I guess, right? And then we started doing that a little bit more. And then Shines with the breakthrough, like kind of going into the same role. Was that a challenge to have like another FC do this a similar thing? That was a very similar, like, because Shine's kind of pushed to do like the big feeds just the same way, really, right? Was that a challenge at times?
Shall I answer first, or do you want Dark to answer first?
I mean, it was a challenge for Shines, I'm sure, to like break into that as a new FC. We know that, right?
I'm sure it was, right? I'm sure it was, because at some point you kind of you sort of build your own sort of I guess pyramid or team, when you have people kind of doing awesome work and snapping at your heels, and kind of in one respect it sort of puts you on. It sort of challenges you, makes you push even harder. But in another respect, it is quite a bit of a challenge, right? So I think probably going back many, many years now, it's probably, well, I don't even know how many, but 5, 10, I can't even remember that, Dark. At the time, there probably was maybe a little bit of rivalry, a bit of tension. You probably think, how am I going to work alongside this person? They're pulling good numbers, they're getting good results. And you kind of probably a bit of rivalry too, but that all worked out in the end. And I think everyone ended up filling their own roles. And I think there's always going to be bits of overlap. So I think we got through that. I don't know. What do you think, Doug?
I think I probably have a lot to apologize for. Yeah, like look, I can kind of see it now sometimes where you've got people looking to step in, and it's very difficult, especially when you're an active FC. And like when I joined in it, like you were the active FC, and it was always cool to go on those fleets. But like one thing that I wanted to do was try to get to that point as well, because it was so cool seeing like these subcap fights that shouldn't have been happening that were happening, and how is he doing this? And that was all stuff that I really wanted to get into. So it's I think we worked like alongside each other as well. like there was a lot of like we bumped heads, I guess, a bit as well. But for the most part, like there was that FC team there. There was that core there, like me, you, Pando, and then Bonga came along later. And it was always cool to see people stepping into different roles. Like if there was if subcaps were being run, then someone would jump in and do capitals, and then someone else would do bombers, or someone would set up dictors. There was a synergy there that I don't know if a lot of people have that kind of nowadays in Eve, and it's definitely something I've missed anyway.
Yeah. I missed the whole like FC team, tight knit like cohort kind of stuff quite a bit. And that's one of the reasons why I'm actually looking to get back into like Alliance FCing. I mean, Bliss, you probably know aware, but I haven't FC'd for Init for quite a long time now. And I always look back at those old times. I always look back at those good old times. I was like, man, that was a good time, right? And it's just like just I told you earlier, like just hearing your voice makes me nostalgic already. I was like, ah, damn it. But yeah.
Sure, it's the beer, Pando.
Say what?
I'm sure it's the beer you're drinking.
It might be. But yeah. Whenever I think back at this old times, Shines and I were always like the more impulsive young FCs trying to get into trouble, like constantly. Sometimes diplomatic trouble, sometimes just good old spaceship violence,
And
then yeah, and then Bliss, you had to be like the grown up in the room, say like, okay, chill guys, cool down, let's do it this way strategically, let's get one step at a time. And I would always be the guy like, fuck it, let's go, let's spend all the ISK we have, we don't need a buffer, nobody needs SRP actually, what about like leaving the Imperium tomorrow? And and you always had to have like the patience of a saint dealing with that. I think, like in hindsight, now I can see that having to deal with like, well, not at the moment, but I used to have to deal with a little bit of like up and coming FCs myself, right? I can see how hard that must have been, right?
I can pretty much, I'm pretty sure I can remember you, Panda, just saying this, let's just reset everybody. That's kind of one of your sort of memorable sound bites. I think that's burnt into my memory forever.
See, like, I haven't changed 100%. It's not like I made a 180, okay? I see, I understand the other side of that argument now, way better. But I still think resetting everyone is a good option for everyone. If everyone in the game, like, let's be realistic, right? In the game right now, if we would reset everyone, we'd basically stand in a fucking icy storm in January in Iceland with our pants off, right? That's basically we're putting ourselves in the winter. Like it's just like you're just hoping for the best. Yeah.
I was hoping for a more appetizing image in my head there, Panda.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna lie to you, right? That's that I think as hard it must have been to deal with us at that time, or I think we clashed heads a couple of times, more serious, I'd say. At least I was always straightforward and honest with what I wanted, right? So you didn't have to guess. But yeah.
Yeah, but I think we all tried to do. We all had ideas of what we wanted to do, and we all had to, I don't know, compromise on those because of the reality of what either the political landscape was or what the game mechanics allowed you to do. So I remember the three of us are always agitating, I think mostly in a common direction, but with slightly different vectors of what we ideally wanted to do. But there were just so many things that held us back but a lot of them we just couldn't change, right? And at various points you had extreme views of we should do this, and I wouldn't say those were emotional views. Those are more sort of spiritual views, right? And it was kind of how do we get there with all these constraints? And yeah, I mean, we probably made some good decisions. We probably made some bad decisions, and
yeah, but
it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, but we usually
anyway.
Yeah, we usually found like a good middle ground, I thought. Which kind of makes me wonder, like you being like inactive for a while. But keeping an eye on things, at least to like out of curiosity, at least I would guess. So what do you think? I mean, first of all, it must have been pretty hard to kind of let go of the reins of Init, right? It was your baby. You built it up and stuff like this, and we struggled with that, during the big war, like what would be two, where Shines and I were kind of in the situation where like, man, we need to get this going. We need to be efficient and quick with our decision making. We can't wait for Bliss. And then luckily you were like, yeah, we didn't have to convince you for long. You're like, yeah, sure, yeah, go with it, guys. So how hard was that decision, like, to say, okay, you guys take over? Or in this case, Shines just straight up took over.
Well, it actually wasn't really that hard, because it wasn't like it was. Well, it is. I think I could probably answer the question a couple of different ways. I think because we had all like worked together for so long, I didn't have any concern or worries about what was going to happen if I stepped back or left or whatever, because I knew it was going to be left in awesome hands. So that wasn't a problem. It wasn't an issue of everything's going to go to hell and there's going to be a major problem. But yeah, I mean, for me, I obviously I didn't have my available time was becoming a problem. I didn't have the time to commit, and I was doing other stuff in real life that I had to focus on. So I just started stepping back more and more over time, really, and I couldn't participate as much as I wanted to. And I think that naturally meant, you guys, and particularly Dark, had to take over more and more and more. So I think it was for me, as far as I remember it was more of a gradual thing that you were just making day-to-day decisions, and you didn't have to wait for me to sign off on things. I think there were probably a couple of things that were significant that we probably had a chat about, but for the most part, I think Dark was already doing that day to day, and he just took that over naturally. And I think over the years, that was because we worked so closely together. That was just the natural order of things. It was. That's probably how it felt to me. I mean, the one weird thing is I never really kind of made a big announcement, said, "Hey, I'm leaving." I gradually just had less and less time, and
I think there wasn't a need for it either, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was during I can't even remember when I actively sort of stepped back. Actually, it was probably during probably the final days at Dell, but it was past the time when the big threat was still there, right? I think the enemy team was already pretty much in bad shape and already on their way out. So, I just found myself having less and less time. So it became more of a natural thing, really. It was probably more difficult because I didn't really have a big announcement to say goodbye, but I wasn't really intending to leave forever. It was more about, I was taking a step back and handing over the reins. And I think, by the way, I'd like to say Dark. I think Dark's done an amazing job, and has done over the years anyway, as you have, Pando. But I couldn't have asked for handing over to a more deserving and more capable set of leadership. So I'm super happy, and by the way, I don't have to oversee anything. I just have a bit of a catch up on how things are going and all the amazing successes that the team have had. So well done.
Yeah,
I can definitely tell you that we have been missing an adult in the room for a while. There was some of the decisions that were made. You're looking back on thinking, "Fucking hell, why wasn't Bliss here to stop me doing this?" But yeah.
But I mean, you can't have one thing I learned as well, right? Like, you need people with fresh energy, fresh ideas to come in and challenge the way things have always been done, because things evolve, things move on, and I'm pleased this happened. Although if I probably roll the clock back a number of years, I'll probably be quite anxious about it and thinking there's always that desire to cling to power for eternity, but you have to hand it over.
Yeah, I think that just from a doctrine perspective, like, that has always been my biggest, like, I think that was, from my perspective at least, the biggest advantage it had. We were always open to, like, evolve too, right? Like, yeah, this might sound crazy, but, and then we do whatever might sound crazy. And to just, like, always have that like that possibility to do weird stuff, right? Be it the Bush Ravens or the Snatch Fleet, if you remember. Actually, Bliss, it was you who named the doctrine, remember? Because I didn't have a good name. I was like, what are we gonna call him? I thought that there was like 3
Yeah.
names, and I was like, that sounds horrible. And you're like, how about you just snatch? Like you're snatching people, but people can also interpret it whatever way they want, right? I'm like, yeah. So yeah, I was.
Do they still exist? They didn't know.
Dude, they're about to come back, maybe.
We're actually about to bring them back.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the funniest thing when people talk about like, oh, Pando, I used to fly with you in fleets like years ago. It was like so fun. What was that doctrine called again? I always think of like Stukas being the big thing, or the Bush Ravens. They was like, oh, Snatch was the best fun ever. Like we should run them again and stuff like this. And I'm always like, I don't even know how we ran these things. I don't know. Like absolute chaos. Like how did we pull this off? I have no idea. So yeah, it's gonna be chaos again, I'm sure, but fun chaos, I guess. So yeah, any in it guys that are in chat, get hyped. The return of the snatches. Right.
Do you remember a doctrine that's older than Snatch that people crave for now and again?
You're talking about APOC now? The Froggers. That's another one. The Froggers were popular too. And it's the same story, really, if you think about it. Remember, so Froggers, for those who don't know, it wasn't that much of a serious doctrine. It had a good it was battleships after all, but we mixed all the battleships in there. We could have easily gone for like, this is the best battleship for the job, we just stick with that, but we kind of mix it up so people had some more freedom, right? But the key thing is, it was right at the beginning of the MJD. Like the MJD was just introduced to battleships, and that's where we instantly jumped on it and said like, yeah, we're making something out of this. Let's have some fun with this new thing. And the same thing with the microjump field generator then, right? With Snatch.
Yeah.
So, typical in it, just like, jumping on the new stuff, really. Very similar.
I think the problem with the Froggers, it was awesome fun, but it was just absolutely chaotic when you have like remote battleships at the MGD and everyone's just splattered all over the place trying to get back in range, dying terribly. But it was good, great fun.
Yeah. But see, people still remember those fights, though, right? It wasn't the most effective doctrine we ever made or whatever, but people still remember the Snatches and the Froggers.
A lot of that's. Sorry, Colin, but a lot of that stuff was almost like born out of necessity, right? Because I think if you go back in time, I mean, we were a lot smaller then, and we were, I think, a lot of those campaigns, I can't remember where it was, but it was down south somewhere, down past Venel somewhere. We were like in some war, I can't remember which one it was now, but just hugely outnumbered. And you're just constantly trying to find what's that extra 1% that's going to keep us maneuverable or whatever. So, yeah, I think often out of those situations you find stuff which, I don't know, maybe it works sometimes, maybe it doesn't work sometimes, but gets you a bit of creativity.
Yeah, I mean the Snatch and the Bush Ravens obviously in Syndicate against NC. I think the Froggers must have been the catch campaign, the second one then, or like
it was
Esoteria.
Stain.
Yeah,
Stain and Esoteria. Yeah.
What was the Russian group called again? Darkness of Despair.
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's them.
Was it?
Darkness of Despair. Yeah, I think.
You're forgetting the what the hell was that thing? The Firewall fleet.
Bomb dogs. The Typhoons with smart bombs.
Do you remember the Firewall fleet against the?
You know what? There's still in my stats, on my kill board. There's still that one absolute insane spike that's from that war, because Emilia and I did all the firewalling for everyone, right? So it was Emilia, me, and I think it was Scar who was the third guy, who were always in smart bomb battleships firewalling for everyone. And we just ended up on so many kill mails, so there's like a huge insane spike. But you know what I also remember? We needed a name for that. And then you called them Disco Sharks. And I was like, man, what a horrible name that is. That was the worst name I've ever heard. But
I think the one Bliss was talking about is the versus the Drakes, was it? Where the firewall, where there was the big video.
that
about
was the
firewall.
first. Yeah, that was the first version. It's still a legendary video for anyone who wants to look it up. It's actually in the Innit playlist. There
I
you
just
go.
dropped it into the Twitch chat. Yeah, I just googled it.
Yeah.
There was another video I remember from back not long after I joined. I can't remember who made it, but there wasn't that many corpsing in it. Something was it? No weapon is stronger than will or something.
Yeah, the catch
I don't know.
campaign. Yeah.
It was just so good.
See, back in the day, there was more people out there making like actual like campaign videos to get people hyped and stuff like this. I kind of miss that nowadays. You don't see that anymore. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes people consider that cringy or whatever nowadays, and that's kind of sad, honestly. I wish there was more of like the good old propaganda and like, you know, focused on themselves rather than on like shitting on the enemy on Reddit or some stuff, right?
Yeah.
Do you mean like propaganda stuff, or do you mean like the fleet battle videos?
I mean, the fleet battle videos are fine, but like, for example, the no weapon sharper than will kind of video, that was when we invited Catch and, you know.
I just dropped it into Twitch chat there as well.
Yeah.
From
We did the same thing for Rage, of course, and I thought, like in hindsight, man, good call. That was so awesome that we can just jump into Rage. People slowly figured out what was happening. Like, oh wait, what are we doing here? And then people were like, oh shit, that's what we're doing. And then we dropped the trailer of like the campaign, get everyone even more hyped. Ah, man, that was maybe one of my proudest moments in Eve. I gotta say, like maybe the whoop. Bliss just dropped out.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I just had to mute the video for a sec.
Okay, one sec. I'll switch the thing on then, because otherwise it's switching stuff. Maybe the like finishing Drage was maybe the proudest, but like that's right after the jumping in. Oh man, that was so fun. What was it for you guys? You must have different thingies, I'm sure.
Favorite moment or favorite moment about the Rage campaign?
No, favorite moment in general, in it, or even in general. Like maybe you weren't PL for a bit. We got your back, but
yeah,
we don't talk about it. I'm sure there wasn't there wasn't anything great that happened there.
There was one fight always stands out to me, and it wasn't like I wouldn't say it's my favorite memory in Eve, but it's one of my clearest. Well, no, that would be one of my favorite memories. It was one of the clearest holy fuck we're winning moments. Was Bliss, you were FCing Tempest Navy. We were in Tempest Fleet issues in the south, fighting against Tengus. And this one particular day, they decided to mix it up and bring ham Tengus, and they just micro warp drive straight into the Tempest blob, thinking they'd get under our guns and everything. And then I think Panda, you were in a Vindicator. Maybe I was in a Vindicator. There was 2 or 3 people in Vindicators, and we webbed these guys down. So we're doing like 4 meters a second or something, and just the Tempest started ripping them apart. And then you could see them burn in, realize what was happening, and then try burn away again. So it was that was one of my moments that always stands out to me in Eve.
Dude, you remember that one fleet, or that conflict, that war in general is one of my favorite ones in hindsight. One negative part was always we were in Esoteria, and other than Russian time zone or whatever, there was nothing going on otherwise, right? That always bothered me because I was roaming all day, basically, and there was no filaments like nowadays. But the best part about that was the constant development, right? They brought out heavy missile Tengus, then we brought the firewalls, then they brought rail Tengus or whatever, then we brought like rocks. Then they brought rocks, but they brought blaster rocks. Then we switched to blaster rocks. Then we brawled out. Just think about it nowadays. Just 2 fleets of blaster rocks just shooting each other, right? But then we brought void bombs to one of the fights. One of my favorite ones too. They brought a full fleet of rocks. We brought a full fleet of rocks, and they had dreads. So they were like, we have this, right? But all their rocks were not cap booster fit. So we kept them out, and they were all dry. That was just like so hilarious. Like it's like, man, that war, just that back and forth, the doctrine development wise, was just such a fun time.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that void bomb. but I mean, literally that whole fleet melted, right? Because they were just sitting ducks.
Yeah, they couldn't even shoot back, right?
I just remember you and the Void Bomber teams cheering on Mumble as they just killed the whole rock fleet. Just amazing.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think I echo the one that you mentioned, Dark. I think that because we had no way to counter all the Tengus, right? I think there were multiple fleets of Tengus, and we said no way we could take them on until we just tried that Vindy Tier 5 firewall setup, and it was just amazing. I just remember, I mean, it was right on the edge, right? I think we lost. I'm pretty sure we lost at least one of the Vindys. I think you were in the other Vindy, if I remember. I can't remember now, but I mean, it was like edge of the seat stuff, and we pulled it off. So I think that was, yeah. I mean, there's so many to think of over the years, but that's definitely up there.
If you're looking at like in terms of FCing and escalation chains, like what you just mentioned, Panda, F7C was like a classic textbook, perfect escalation chain. I think you remember that one, Bliss and Cloudring over the R64.
Not to refresh my memory.
Yeah, so let me so there was an R64, and nowadays, like, people, that's a discussion that comes up all the time too, like, passive moons and stuff like this. Why would you fight over that? Like, I don't know why we fought over that. It's like, it would take like 7 years to like get the money back from that fight, right? But people still fought over them. But yeah, there's an R64, and then when the Horde was there, but it's not the Horde from today, all right? They were way smaller, way newer. They were getting there, right? Everyone could see, oh shit, Horde's getting a serious force here. But they showed up in Scorpions, of all things, plus something else. I forgot what exactly the ship types, but they had a bunch of Scorpions there.
I remember now, yeah.
And just looking at those fleets, we couldn't really engage them straight on with the hope of killing them quick enough or winning the fight because they had so many Scorpions and stuff. We thought we're going to just get stuck there probably. But NC was on the move, and NC had like way bigger than they are nowadays, and they had like a bunch of Supers and Titans on the move, ready to go, basically, right? But they weren't quite moving yet. So the first decision you made, like from my perspective, I want to say, I have to be super honest here, right? I thought like, yeah, we can't do anything, whatever. Like, what are you gonna do? But then you decided to just like undock anyway. Poke Horde, that fleet, because it wasn't super scary DPS wise. We wouldn't just fall apart against them. We just wouldn't be able to kill them quick, right? So you engage, and then some group, I'm not sure if it was Bomber's Bar, I think it was a different group. Some group landed a decent bomb run on those Scorps, right? So a bunch of them died, and we're like, actually, let's up that kill speed. And we started killing Scorps, and stuff like went way better than expected. And NC had to then move. And our plan was to just get them to move. Like the haha made you form, but it's like up at one scale. It's the haha made you form and move all your Supers and Titans, right? And then by the time NC actually arrived, the fight was actually okay for us, So we're like, okay, let's go, right? Snuff was there and stuff, and then we took on the fight against them, and the first dreads were fielded and carriers, and so, yeah, that's what Horde had. They had a bunch of carriers and then Scorps to support them. That's what it was. And so dreads were fielded. We field some dreads. They field even more dreads. But then the blunderbuss, right? The legendary 4 Titans. Was it 4 or 5? I forgot. I think it was 4. Yeah.
4. Yeah.
We fielded 4 Boson Titans. Bosons were super new to the game at the time. So we field 4 Titans, hoping to wipe out like the entire dread bomb they had. And I think they killed, I don't know, maybe half of the dreads, and we cleaned up the rest slowly. And NC then suddenly started moving with their Supers and Titans, right? Getting that, we were under time pressure.
On the clock.
Yeah. And 3 of the 4 Titans jumped out. A certain Titan called a Honey Monster didn't quite make it out in time, right? For those who don't know, that's Shine's Titan. And we just couldn't free the damn Titan in time. And then NC arrived with all the Supers and Titans. They still had a huge advantage when it came to caps at the time. They're just like, we couldn't compete with that. So the Honey Monster died. But even though we lost the Titan, we actually won the Iskwar at the end. Oh, it was like pretty much exactly 50-50. I think we won by a bill, something like ridiculously small. And yeah, I just like that was one of the legendary fights, really. And it all,
Like
I
it
mean,
was
it all starts with like just undocking and doing shit, right? That has always been your attitude, and I think that you instilled that in all the FCs and in it really, which is always good.
well, you said at the start that you've kind of known me to become a little bit relentless about things when I FC, but that's 100% from Bliss because I remember like I would have been kind of like you. It's like, oh, we're not going to get a fight here. Let's, we're outnumbered. Let's just stand down. And then Bliss is like, no, fuck that. Everybody into dictors or everybody into bombers or something. We're going to make
Yeah.
their lives hell. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, but do something to keep going. And that's all from Bliss and learning from him.
Yep.
That feels very generous. But no, sometimes, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you find you just go out in those situations, and I don't know. On that particular day, I remember all the enemy fleets that were there weren't all necessarily there right at the same time in the beginning. So we kind of had like just a small opportunity just to sort of, well, if it goes all our way for the first 5 minutes or whatever, you can maybe even the odds a little bit. And sometimes you get amazing wins from that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, there are times that are right, but it's just pointless, and you have to just go right. Just do something else for tonight. But
yeah, those are the hardest calls.
That was an epic fight.
Yeah,
and the good thing was, yeah, we got you back in a new time pretty quick, if I remember rightly, Doug. So I hope you didn't feel too bad about that.
No, not at all. Like I remember getting tackled, and then like I think NC was just about to jump in. They weren't in yet. And then maybe it was Soraya asked, are we dropping in more faxes to try and keep him alive? I think Dreads had just come out of Siege or something as well. And I think you were like, oh, well, fuck it. If a Titan's going down, like we're all going to go down. So Dreads went back into Siege, and they could have jumped out, but like people didn't. And it was just one of the best Eve memories that I have.
Yeah.
It was
Siege green
amazing.
Until death.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And you don't see that nowadays. Like if a hostile Titan fleet's coming in, you get out. But no, everyone's Siege green. Primary is whoever.
Yeah, those were the days where you could still move across the map really quick, wasn't it? You could just kind of jump cap. There was no. It was pre the whole super cap changes with I can't remember what it's called now. What do you call it?
I'm not 100% sure, if I'm honest. Was it not post fatigue?
I don't know. I can't remember.
We were in Cloud Ring, and NC moved over from Tribute, if I'm not mistaken. So they had a couple jumps, and we were in heavy tie-dye, don't forget, right? So they, like, if there was no fatigue, I think they would have been there right away. So there must have been fatigue. Maybe. There must have been fatigue there.
Antiochus is saying it was post-fatigue, so maybe it was.
Definitely post-fatigue, yeah. Shout out to Init Antiochus, one of the Init old-timers. I talked about it.
Just enough time.
I talked about Anti the other day, actually. Like, before the Ishtar era, Anti was the guy that made a huge forum post, like, hey, we should fly Ishtars, but like, just assist drones and do this and la la la. And because he wasn't FCing, most people were like, yeah, sure, dude has probably a good idea, but like, who cares, right? And then, like, I don't know, like maybe a month, two, maybe half a year later, everyone was flying Ishtars. Yeah. Nobody reads my posts now. Do we still have, like, the old init forms? Are they saved somewhere, by the way? I wonder.
There should be.
Yeah. That would be some gold to dig through. We should just open it up for everyone to see. Like,
Malcanis' post is still there. I don't know if you remember that, Bliss, the life cycle of initiative and how we deploy.
Yeah.
I can't remember it now, so like I won't read it out or anything. But it's just those posts like that going back years that are just amazing to read.
Hopefully nothing's changed.
No, it's all exactly the same.
So best deployment, like I've got some things written down here. Best deployment. What do you guys say? What was our best deployment ever? Was it the one in Esoteria against Darkness of Despair?
I felt like, for me, the Esoteria one was probably my favorite because it was when I was just getting started in it and really seeing what a nullsec alliance could do if it done things properly. So I felt like for me that was the big one. But the Syndicate campaign as well, when we moved south from we were in Teenal at the time, I think. And we moved down to Syndicate, and like all the fights that we had down there, those were super fun as well.
We never were in Teenal, but we just took the space in Teenal, you know, to have some soft to build supers and stuff like this. But,
yeah.
You know what? If you think about the parameters you want to set, I think the best deployment for the Alliance was probably G right? Because they kind of saved the Alliance. If you think about it, right? Like, without that deployment in it, we would have been in deep shit, right?
I joined just after that, so I wasn't there for the lead up to that. I was actually a renter in Initiative at the time.
Oh, really? You joined in it after me? I didn't even know.
Oh, yeah, you were in it before me, yeah.
Oh, right.
I was in it a week, I think, and they were showing me how to run missions. Vanis was showing me how to run missions.
Right.
And I got tackled in my Raven, and Bliss warped in to save me in a Cinnable, but I had forgot to tell people that there was actually a fleet at me. I think you died, and a lot of people got very angry very quickly.
That's good times.
Yeah.
Probably right, though, Panda. I think that was definitely a turning point, right? I think we sharpened our act up a bit out of necessity, and I don't know, grew some new teeth, I think.
Yeah. Next one would be best doctrine. What was the best doctrine we ever came up with or made? The key one. I don't know. Maybe we had a couple really good ones. Like we talked about the Froggers and the Snatchers. I think probably my favorite was probably the Stukas. Obviously I'm biased. But Bush Ravens, actually, I miss that. I miss that so much. Just being able to dodge to a degree in battleships and then having so much DPS at your fingertip. I think Shines, you must be the Ishtar fan, but like, did we come up with the Ishtars? You know, I don't know.
One doctrine that I think in it was quite unique in was the I mean, look, like the Ishtars and the Rogues and stuff were all super fun, but one doctrine I'd never seen anyone else running was I think you used to call it light skirmish Bliss, which was
the Nagas
Drakes with the RT Tempests. So the Tempests would like hold damage until the missiles landed, and then hit the primary at that point, and all that kind of stuff. Like the skirmishy fleets were a lot of fun.
I thought light skirmish wasn't that the Lagas, and then heavy skirmish was Drake's Tempests.
Oh, sorry, yeah, you're right, yeah,
that was a great fun to fly. Actually, credit to
Darkside.
Who was it? Yeah, credit to Darkside. They flew those Tempests and Drakes, and frankly kicked our ass for the first 6 months we were in GDACO. So credit to them. Those were awesome fun. The Nagas were too, actually, but very blappy, and didn't live very long if you got bombed.
That's true.
It's hard to choose a favorite, actually.
Darkside still runs Nagas nowadays. They still around, not in GO, of course, but every now and then. Well, it hasn't been that long ago that I saw them in horde staging, zooming around with Nagas, like, you know, dodging stuff, killing stuff. So they're still alive and kicking. I saw actually Faffy Waffy the other day, or maybe a month ago or so.
He was in the Events tournament as well, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Miss Faffy and Flesh Rocket. Those are good days.
Flesh Rocket. Those GO times, like, for people that don't know, like, you have to put it in, like, you have to think of like an alliance that can feel like 70 dudes that comes from nullsec, like a soft null, and we're moving into an NPC station, and we're fighting suddenly an alliance that can only form like maybe 50, 60, but they're hardcore, right? Darkside, I think everyone knows, like, Darkside is a quality group. They still are. And we had to learn quickly, and we staged in the same exact station as them. Just think about that, like fucking craziness. Same station, you undock, dude, you're in a fight. You're already in a fight, right? You click that button, you're already in a fight. Like, if you're not getting engaged on the undock, someone's ready to probe you when you warp to your insta warp or to any gate. Like, it was just like such a hostile environment. It was fun.
I think it's probably the most hostile environment I think we've ever been in, right? I think even compared to some of the big war times, just knowing that there's someone insta scanning you and ready to undock and pounce on you. Just there's no way to maneuver. But I don't know, maybe you get the same in some of the big staging systems and the big wars. But I don't know, definitely a good place to learn and have some fun.
And I think that paid like dividends over the years. Like for example, now Giants just deployed an init sig to X70. It's an NPC station. Other groups might be a little nervous about it. It's 2 jumps from hostile staging. You're only in an NPC station. But having that knowledge, even from years back, that yeah, if there's station games on us, like they're trying to gamble, then we'll handle it. We've done this before. It's just good to have that experience, really. So while other groups might be a little bit nervous about it, we can do this, right? It's like we've all seen it before, so it's pretty nice.
It did actually take a minute to get used to jumping and living out of an NPC station. Like when we first jumped in, I was like, "Holy fuck! This isn't the Fortizar. This isn't the Keepstar."
I mean, some things have changed though, right? The cloning stuff with the clones that you can jump into the station and stuff like that. It's like, and now it's a little bit better, right? So people are more, I wouldn't say incentivized.
You can actually jump through. Yeah, you can jump to another clone in the same NPC station without racking up a jump clone timer.
Yeah.
So if you've got 5 or 6 clones in an NPC station, you can have more than one, can't you? And you just cycle through them as you want.
I think so, yeah. I'm not 100%. I should know this.
So that was one of the really good recent changes that CCP brought in, because it means that up until then you had to have like an Astra house or something that could be killed very easily by a bigger group to really use jump clones or like implants. But with that change, that kind of got rid of all of that. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you're not being punished anymore to stage from an NPC station, which is pretty good.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah. So
we actually still have a lot of people with assets in Geo. I know Highfield opens up his asset hangar every so often, and I don't know if he moved it yet or not, but there's still a lot of the older Init members are like, we'll be back in Geo eventually. It might take 20 years, but we'll be back there eventually.
Yeah. And then my 100 Drake hulls will come in handy. And talking about that's what Bliss always did. Like stockpiling ships. Like, hey, like I just thought about this and I'm just gonna buy 100 rogues and put them here, okay? And we're all like, what? Like, yeah, we might need them. So okay. And then stockpiles here, stockpiles there. Yeah. And then years later, like, oh, here, I found this. What was it again? Ah, man. Was it in the last war where we needed something? And then Bliss...
Rogues,
probably,
wasn't it?
Rogues?
It was, we had a massive rogue station in
yeah,
I
remember
can't remember now.
We jumped into rogues and moved them up to Fountain, I think. Was it?
Forgot, honestly. But
maybe it was. I can't remember now.
Yeah, always handy to have, as long as they're not completely shit.
Yeah, I mean, rogues will always be okay-ish, hopefully. You have a damage bonus, a range bonus, and a resist bonus. Like, it can't be that bad.
Speaking of which, going back to GTACO, Panda, I've missed all the latest changes, but faction titans, can you buy them with LP? But not faction titans, faction caps.
No, faction cap. Also, faction the faction dreads are all in the faction LP shops, but like pirate stuff is all NPCs or TOs, right?
So
maybe
there's Navy dreads now, Bliss. So you've got like a Navy Revelation.
I was hoping I could make use of my, I don't know, God knows how many million Angel LP.
No, at the moment, and also the price went down quite a bit, right? So it's not like you can make bank running Blitz missions at the moment. Which, would be kind of cool, obviously. I would enjoy it to have like that option for like an alliance like we were at the time, or for like something independent that doesn't want to get involved in SOF and put themselves out there to just like get, blob to shit. They could just like stage an NPC space. I think that would be pretty cool, but I think the LP prices are just like too low for that to be actually viable. Sadly, I remember doing that. Like doing missions, especially when the new missions came out. What were they called again?
burner missions.
The burner
The burner
missions
ones, yeah.
and pushing the entire corp into supers. That was like one of the coolest things actually. Like I was never the super cap guy, right? But like having out of 27 mains, 23 people had a super suddenly, and at the time, that was pretty good. And we did that with missions, yeah.
Especially since the month before and for the last 2 years before that, you were like, "I'm never getting a super. Come on, guys, we should never get supers."
No. I didn't tell our guys to never get supers, but I was like, man, I'll never grind the ISK for that. But then I wanted to push the corp into it, so I kind of had to do it myself too, right? Yeah, I can't really tell people to do this while I'm just like standing on the side watching, you know. So I was forced almost to do
Those are the days.
it. Yeah.
Missions are still a big thing though. Like in Fountain, we've got Serpentis mission hub and an Amar mission hub just outside of Fountain in Hopib. So like missions are still a really good way to make money, and I think that was one of the things I remember about GOs. You could kind of like you lost a lot down there if you messed up, but you were always able to make it back relatively quickly.
I mean, I always thought like running the Blitz missions was so safe. Like if you wanted to just be safe, you could be 100% safe. If you wanted to add a little bit of spice to it, you would run the blockades with like a carrier, or I did it with a Titan later on, like just for fun. That was pretty quick. You know what really sucks though? In the blockade, you would blitz it, and it would have the faction spawn at the end. They removed the faction spawn, I'm pretty sure, because I was doing some just for the fun of it, and I was looking for the faction spawn, and not a single one. But maybe I didn't do enough. I just did like, I don't know, 50 total or so.
I thought it didn't spawn every time.
No, they don't spawn every time. No.
Yeah.
But
the Blitz ones, you have to be a bit careful though, because I know the loadouts change, but each one has a different loadout, and some of them are quite easy, but some of them are quite a little bit tricky. You can quite easily lose your little frigate or whatever with your
the burner ones, yeah,
your faction stuff. But yeah,
yeah,
have they added more to that, or is it still pretty much the same as it has been?
It's pretty much the same, I'd say.
Thankfully, they haven't changed anything on it.
I mean,
if they did, they might break it.
I mean, that's historically, I've always talked about like citadels or like some ship balance that they need to address, but like the number one thing I think that would be essential for the game is reworking the PvE experience, be in missions, and like the normal anomalies. Like it's just like a little weird that it's like how old are the missions? Like they're from 2006, 7, 8, something like this, right? And
just don't change
update really.
Echo's Revenge or whatever it is, and Catch with that one we found.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah,
no, that wasn't Ogden's.
What was it?
That wasn't Ogden's. That was another
Hashan's, wasn't it?
Hashan, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, we were deployed in Catch, and you guys ran that mission, like not a mission, ran the site every day. But there was like a team of dudes that professional guys that have been running this for years, farming is every day, like having every trick in the book, right? And you had to figure out how to do it. Yeah, Passion is still there, yeah.
Rita from AAA, wasn't it?
Yeah, I basically we spent 3 months figuring out how it worked because it wasn't documented anywhere. And every day they would log in right up to downtime. And they had a hack where they would basically fly. They had a warp-in point where they could fly into the mission. Well, they could warp to a point, essentially off grid, and then burn onto the grid into the final or into one of the rooms in the mission without going through the gate. So we were like, how are these guys doing this? We didn't even know how the mission worked, but we could never find out until we found them one day, and it was basically exploiting it. But yeah, no, they were really switched on. It took us ages to figure out how it even worked because every time we went in, there was already done. The keys were gone, but they're probably still running it now.
They probably are, yeah. There's some people there that just still do the same thing they've been doing for years. The only guys you remember the guys in Curse in
I
forgot the system.
Appetite for Destruction.
No. Art of War. There was like dudes that camped that one system constantly, every day for years. They did stop a couple of years ago though. And then like who was it? I saw Mr. Rive is the PL guy that camped in Great Wildlands. I saw him the other day.
He's been in local in X-Tac 70.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Did who's the other person? Bliss, you probably remember in Syndicate, that one person who camped the K5 gate all the time.
Yeah,
The
Nalia
insta
White or something.
Yep.
yeah, and he would kill he would just kill interceptors, didn't he? And you just like, how
Yeah.
did he do it?
Yeah. Some people, that's just what they do.
It's crazy how names stick out to you after. Like, I remember when I joined, there was one person in particular who used to always do, and I was actually thinking about bringing this back, Bliss. Remember you used to do tow lines? Tazdev used to
For your
always do.
warp out, yeah.
Yeah, yes. Tazdev was an init member who used to always do tow lines, or at least I remember him always doing the tow lines for you, like basically having a scepter in front of the fleet that you could warp out to when you needed to. So that, like, but the fact that those names kind of stick with you after 10 or 15 years is it's pretty cool about Eve, I think.
Yeah, there was some legendary dudes. I instantly have to think of Hoopo. Just being the guy always there, always doing everything right. Not being an FC or anything, but like he just like he was always like constantly like he was always like the core of the corp too. Like he was in DEFCON. I guess he still is, I guess. Like super active. There's a couple of guys that was just like always around, right?
Is Super still playing or?
No, he stopped playing maybe 2 years, 3 years ago. But yeah. So what would it take Bliss to come back? Start playing more time, right? More time.
Yeah, more time.
So how far from retirement are you then?
I don't know really. It's gonna be a busy couple of years ahead. So yeah, not imminently. But I don't know. Maybe I'll get to come and join a fleet and get yelled at. That'd be good fun.
When Eve 2.0 is announced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no yelling in our fleets anymore, because we're very calm and collected, and
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a different like people shouted at like people in fleets years ago. Like you don't do that anymore today. Like nobody does really. Like even NCPL or whoever, like even they are a little bit more
older. Everybody's older. That's why.
yeah. Maybe even they learned those lessons that like shouting at everyone who makes a little mistake probably doesn't get you there at the end, right? So yeah, it did change.
Yeah. Oh, those are good memories. Thank you, Grace.
Stop fucking dying. That reminds me exactly. Just like that, like legendary saying of like, stop fucking dying. It's like as if we chose to die here. But still mad they renamed our faction warfare corp that we made and we called Stop Fucking Dying. But
What did they rename it to?
Just to like Corporation 1, 2, 3, whatever. Like, I don't know. Too hard
it
of a word.
fucking in the name.
Yep. It's just like I think it goes a little too far. Like just language wise, like come on. It's not even a swear word anymore. Everyone uses the word all the time, everywhere, constantly. Like nobody thinks of the actual meaning of the word when he says it, right? So it is what it is.
We actually have a lot of people I see in chat who I would say like are kind of new to initiative. Bliss, would you be able to go into a little bit of the background? Sorry to jump in, Panda.
Not do it.
Bliss, would you be able to go to like how did Init come about? Because I mean I wasn't there for any of that. So
yeah, we had like a really quick history was I don't know if anyone remembers the real old days when
Grace does.
I can't even remember who we were fighting against, but there was a big mercenary coalition led campaign from the south to go and attack someone in the north. I remember now actually. Do I remember? God, I can't remember. Anyway, we jumped on this big kind of what at the time was this massive campaign. We ended up winning this campaign. I don't know who it was against. I can't remember. Someone will surely remember me, remind me. And then we ended up in this alliance called Fatal, which is Living and Fountain. And yeah, it was. I was in the previous corp. It was Mad Hatters were there, Dwayne were there, if I remember. And we kind of went on this ride, and a ride which ended up us losing whatever space we had, and we then decided to go because we'd met some friends, decided to create our own new thing. So 3 corps splits off. I think it was post Fatal, post Pure days. I think. Yeah, 3 corps split off when we decided to go and do our own thing. Of course, we had all these ideals and all these ideas at the time, which completely unworkable, but we gave it a shot and started our own thing. And yeah, the 3 corps came together and started our own alliance. I think at the time we had this this design goal of we should never have more than 5 corporations was our design goal. And yeah,
we just went overboard a little bit lately, right? How many corps does it have now? 69?
69 corps, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I know I'm getting all my chronology mixed up here because there's so many things that happened between, but this is, I don't know, God, like 15 years ago, so I can't remember.
One part I know just from my guys talking about it, the DEFCON guys, the old guard, they always said like they were fighting in it, and then maybe when you or they were fighting pure, I guess, and then when you started in it, then kind of they worked together, and then DEFCON joined like, I don't know, a month later or so. And
yeah, we were in Pure Alliance for a little bit. Yeah, then we left. I can't remember what happened to Pure actually, but yeah, someone should write. I'm pretty sure Marcanus wrote some chronological histories. I think somewhere there must be in the forum. It'd be good to dig those out and reminisce a bit. But
yeah, we need to find that forum.
Yeah, Jesus.
I'll ask Aaron. He might have it locked away somewhere.
No, I think so. To answer your question, I think I don't know, without going through all the little details, I think we started and we wanted to be something different. We wanted to be independent, but and we tried that for a while. We got invited down south somewhere, I think by Bobby Atlas. If I remember, Bobby Atlas was doing something, and we were newly formed, and we were looking to go and have some connection. I think things hadn't worked out in the north because of the he and Razor hadn't been particularly good friends, and we went south and kind of just jumped into trying something new with Atlas at the time, and then I think instantly Atlas came under attack, and
by Red
took
Alliance.
a wild turn.
Yeah, I think Atlas got killed by Red Alliance while we were attacking Catch. And then by the time we were finished with Catch, basically saying, okay, let's abandon Catch and let's just focus on MNC, then Red Alliance attacked us. And that's when we ended up in Curse.
It was everyone. I think there's quite a few other people involved, right? I think PL were involved there too. I can't.
Yeah, PL was on our side back in the day. I actually reached out to Shadu, thinking maybe you and Shadu, you guys worked together at the time. And
yeah, we did for a small period. Yeah.
Yeah, but I couldn't get a hold of him. But I remember that was a different era, like PL and Init working together, doing stuff, right? It was like, but as soon as Shadu went inactive, that kind of changed. And I think, was it after Shadu that headliner? No, Elise took over, I think. And that's kind of where it changed, I believe.
Yeah, there was a brief spell. I can't remember exactly what happened, but it was us attacking Catch. I can't even remember who was there. Something happened where I think us and PL teamed up on, I don't know, some cap kills, some time kills. I can't quite remember.
That was my first day in it, actually.
And then we kind of, that sparked a bit of a collaboration because we'd had some really good kills together, and we worked briefly together. It didn't last long.
Yeah.
Malcanis is actually watching, by the way. He's just sent me a Reddit thread where he outlined the history of Initiative for Panama Cord, I think.
I need to dig into that.
There.
Yeah.
it's a big post, but he goes into the details there as well. So that was pretty cool. Hi, Malcanis.
Malcanis law. That's what I always keep hearing, especially as a CSM. That I forgot what exactly. Like I'm gonna misquote here a little bit. Like, but basically what it says is, no matter what change is good for the a small guy, it's always better for the large guys anyway. So, and it always kind of holds true, honestly. I mean, I would disagree. There's probably some changes you could do that would benefit smaller groups more than larger groups, but in general, that's how it works. And any nerf hits smaller groups more than large groups, of course. Nerfing jumper just won't. Yeah. We could talk about that for hours. Shines and I see, like Shines and I have like way different takes on jump. Not way different, actually. I think we understand each other's opinions.
There's some small differences. I think we're coming from a different play style when we're looking at it. I think that's it.
But maybe we need like an Antiplex super show at some point. Just like 5 hours long, and just talk about Antiplexes to then come to a consensus to what changes would be good.
They are.
Yeah. But I think the end result is going to be like, fuck it, like whatever you do, it's not gonna change much or whatever. Antiplexes are complex. But yeah, guys, there's Bonga. Bring back unlimited boosting. See, that's the thing. I would love to talk about something from the CSM summit, but I can't. We talked about that stuff. That's all I can say. But you'd be surprised about the opinions there. But yeah, no, I wouldn't agree with unlimited boosting. That's all I can say.
It was a lot of fun, though.
It was a lot of fun. But see, that's one of the arguments I make when it comes to Marauders. Like, it's not that big of a deal if a ship gets a buff or a ship type gets a buff and it's OP. If it's not OP for 5 years straight. Okay, if it's OP for a year, people need to get there. It's gonna be like a development phase where people just need to figure out how it works, how to actually exploit the OP-ness and stuff, right? So you have to get there first, and that phase is fun, and I think it's fun for most people, not just for that one guy who's flying a Marauder, right? But if you the longer something is too strong, the worse it gets. OP-ness, yeah, I said it. This humble guy, I said it, and I heard it too. All right, I get it. I'd say it differently next time. But yeah. Well, guys, do you have any last words? Might be a little dramatic. Anything you want to say before I call it?
Don't think so. It's been cool kind of getting together and talking about the history of Eve and the different memories and everything. So it was very nostalgic. It was pretty cool. So thanks for that.
Yeah, no, pleasure to be on your show, Pando. I think I've missed a number of episodes. It was great to come on the last time we came on. When's the next? I know this is very self-centered on initiative, by the way, but are you hosting the next Init meetup, Pando?
I'm not hosting the next Init meetup, but Gal just asked, all three of you coming to Init Bavaria. Well, I am in Bavaria, so yeah, I might just show up. How about you, Bliss? You coming or what?
Let me check the calendar. I'd like to.
I can tell you, the venue. So shout out to Blackie, who always organizes it. She locked down basically a little place that's there's basically a big fireplace in the middle, and then there's little huts around it, and the entire place is just in it then. And that was at least last time. I think it's the same again. And it's just that was just a great time. I gotta say, I couldn't imagine a better way of doing it, really. And the meetups in Brighton were super great. That's one of my best memories still, the Brighton meetups. Man, Init meetups in Brighton were one of the best experiences ever, I gotta say.
That was good fun. I enjoyed it. Although I think we enjoyed making the real life Eve game more than actually participating, but it was good fun.
Oh, you mean what was it called again?
Scavenger hunt, was it?
The scavenger hunt, yeah. The gators scavenger hunt, yeah.
where you underestimated how competitive everyone was.
Yeah.
Like they're gamers after all, and everyone kind of like you're like, oh yeah, people can check this out just so they have like a hint where to go and what to do. But actually, everyone wanted to just score points and win. Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah. No final comments from me apart from I'm looking forward to episode 101. And looking forward to dropping in and joining one of you guys for a fleet one day.
All right.
We've got some cool memey stuff coming up, so I'll send you a skill plan, and if you can maybe train into it a little bit, we might go have some fun.
All right, sounds good.
Hey, thanks for coming on then. It was a pleasure. It's always super fun to talk to you guys. And yeah.
You're welcome, Pendo. Our pleasure. Good to see you both.
Yeah. See you guys in
Keep kicking.
Fleet.
All right.
Thanks.
And the guys on stream, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the subs. Grace, Miranda, the Real Fox, whoever I missed. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for the support in general. And see you guys around. Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.